on top of this topic as soon as it came out. But the next one about the transgender bill in Florida prohibiting transgendered young girls from not playing alongside biological women. I kind of wanted to hit on that. And here's a little bit of a clip of two Florida representatives talking for this bill and against it.
Only leagues.
We recognize that there are some physiological differences in strength.
State Senator Kelly Stargel is sponsoring a bill in the state Senate.
We want to have women to have an advantage and be able to participate within their own network of strength and safety.
But Democratic Representative Anna Eskamani sees the efforts as discriminatory. Are these bills an attack on trans kids?
The fact that we're handpicking cases that have become sensational in the right-wing media to draw this dynamic of anti-trans rhetoric is really dangerous to equity across the country.
So the bill is called HB 1775, and it just passed, I believe, last week with a 77-40 vote in the House of Lawmakers in Florida. I just kind of want to go to the panel. My question to you, guys, is this bill discriminatory towards the trans community? And for this topic, I'm going to go to Ivan first. Ivan, do you think this new bill is discriminatory towards the trans community?
Oh, yes. Right off the bat, you're discriminating. You're separating them out from being included with them. I understand the whole thing about if you were naturally born a female or naturally born a male. And the interesting part when I read about this was they're only prohibiting the actual transgender male to female from playing on the girls and women's teams. If you are transgender female to male, you can still play on the boys team and the men's team. So it's clearly discrimination. So, I mean, there's no other way to look at it than it is. Now, I will say in the same respect, yes, biologically born, a man has different muscular, attributes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the same respect, and I take this as a humorous side, jokingly, of course, Layla Ali is a woman. She can kick my butt. Okay? And she's straight up woman. Well, she could knock me out with one punch. So I'm just saying, it is what it is. Now, of course, it's bad that you feel you're already trapped in the wrong body.
Right.
So then you have to go through all of the situation of dealing with that and everything else that comes along with it. Now you're gonna be told that now you finally are your true self, or what you feel is your true self, and now you're being discriminated because of other people's views. I mean, it's really touchy. How do you fix it? But in the same respect, it's a mess. So I'm still up in the air about it. Is it discrimination? Yes, I totally agree. Should they say that the transgender male to female doesn't play on the sports teams with the women? I can kind of see that to a degree. But again, if you physically, there are women who are built physically and more muscular than men are. So we're not.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, because you're making me laugh, but you're absolutely right about Layla Ali. I'm going to go to Dr. Palin. Dr. Palin, how do you feel?
So, like with every other bill, I feel like this is culmination of not having or just having lawyers on, as lawmakers. I mean, why is it that they cannot make provisions where they say that, subject to testing of testosterone levels and estrogen levels, because many of the trans individuals who are going through transformation are taking biologically changing their hormonal balance. So most of them do end up being female biologically, although it's induced biologically, still they don't have the testosterone. So long as you don't have the testosterone levels that are much higher than the estrogen levels, then I don't see why it cannot be based on science and why it has to be based on, no, it's you just can't do. You know what I'm saying? It's just a political statement. I feel like it should just be based on science. I mean, this has been proven through many, many studies that some people are just born into the wrong body. And,
Right.
you can't, you cannot suffocate those people by saying that, okay, you're not going to, you can be a woman in every other aspect of life, but you can't compete in sports, which is a very big portion of our life. So I don't understand why it couldn't be based on science. Just have something where they are required to show that their testosterone levels have decreased enough or their estrogen levels are increased enough so that biologically they are hormonally, they are acting more out of estrogen than testosterone, then they would be equal.
I can agree with that. I love how we have a doctor on the show because, like, it's a scientific thing, and also, like, yeah, right. It's all based in science. Like, just about being a homosexual myself, I'll be honest. I can't tell you why. I just like dudes. So I don't really want to speak on someone else's life, but I just kind of want to get to this comment before I go. Jess Gorman says, kind of seems like as far as children go, it's kind of okay people to act. It's kind of okay for people to act like pedophiles. And I kind of can understand what she's saying with that, because when it comes to, like, children, like, or anything like that, laws are very not, it just gets political, and the laws aren't what they should be. But I want her to, if she's still watching, Jess, I want you to kind of clarify that. I don't know if I answered that.
I know, yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah. But I'm going to go out on the limb and say that's probably what she meant. But on this bill, is it discriminatory? Absolutely. I agree with Representative Anna Eskamani, because I hope to have her on the show. But yeah, like, who are we to tell people that, what they feel inside isn't, right? We can't explain everything. But, what do they think? Because this is what I see. They have the wrong people in the fucking room, dude. That's how we need I agree with Dr. Phelan. I agree with Dr. Phelan because
you put it so much better than I
did. Well, I agree with you when you say, right now all we have are doctors and lawyers in government, because this is what they probably see. They probably see, just to make a joke, it's just in poor taste, but they probably see like fucking Shaq in a wig donking on these girls,
Right.
That's or like Mike Tyson boxing, I don't think that's what it's gonna be.
I'm so removed from reality when it's not based on science,
It's science and personal experience, because our own co-host, Angelique, she's a trans woman, and why wouldn't she be able to perform in sports, in women's sports? She's a woman. And I think the point that it's kind of is discriminatory and fucking hateful if you think about it, because they really think that these girls are actually men. And Florida needs to, that's what they're not saying. But I'll say the silent part on this show, because that's why I have it, this platform, because I'm not afraid to say that shit. That's what they're thinking. They're going to have Shaq and LeBron James in a wig dunking on these girls, and it's not fair. I think that's a wrong thinking, and it's just ignorant. Let's go back to, having your own personal experience, because before I was out in the LGBTQ plus community, I didn't understand those things either. But as I opened my heart and mind, because this is life, everything changes. I learned, because what the fuck do I know, But Jess says, she comes back with this. What I saw said kids in question would have cemented to oh yes, as well. That's what's in this bill as well. That they are being, that they can.
Yeah, that's part of that.
Let's react to that. Now, let's go to that, because that's fucking disgusting and ignorant. How do you guys feel? Let's go to Dr. Palin. You're the doctor on the panel.
I'm sorry. I just can't believe I just read that. Again, it's all because ignorant people sitting in a room who have no business. They don't get expert testimony. It's just like these people that are just trying to make a political statement. Who cares? The genitals, the shape of the genitals, and the way that your genitals look has nothing to do with your strength. Has zero element, zero factor. So I could have a penis on, but I could have literally attach a penis to my body, but when you test my blood, I would never have the strength of a man, because my testosterone level would be very low, although some people may object to that. They think I'm too aggressive, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, biologically, I would not be considered a man, even though I may have the parts of a man. So that again is not based on science.
Right.
Again, that's total, complete humiliation to me.
It is.
It's for that purpose.
Ivan, let's go to you, and then we're gonna.
Well, I think it's total humiliation, and I think it's also traumatic. It would be extremely traumatic to have to put a child through something like that just to play a sport. I do not agree with it in any way, shape, or form. You can tell medically or biologically through other tests. You do not have to have this poor child exposed so that you can say this is a boy or girl. I think it's total bullshit.
Absolutely. I love this panel.
Too much testosterone there, doctor.
I love this panel.
Too aggressive.
But you know that. But see, that's the ignorance. You know, a lot of my friends are women, and you know, I wouldn't say aggressive because they wouldn't say that about a man. It's misogynistic. It's
right.
misogynistic. So misogynistic and ignorant. The wrong people were in the room. It's like when they make these like, you know, laws for black people or these movies about black people and didn't have a black person in the room. Like, you ever heard this movie called LaQuisha, where this dude was pretending like he was a black guy? And on the radio, it was like a radio show. People would call in, and he would give advice as LaQuisha, and it was something like someone would call in like, "Oh, my man's cheating," and she's like, "Girl, you need to leave him." And people thought it was a black woman. And you know, I watched that, and I'm like, there wasn't a black person in the room when they wrote this. When they pitched it to the studios, there was not a black person at the table. But